I was very energetic to build this startup out. 6 months passed. And after 6 months, I was like, wait, I love this too much to go back to sea. I don't want to go back to sea. We got some external validation. And that's where I think this whole VC or money or fundraise process comes, is that whenever anyone's trying to give you money on a base level, I would say that they're telling you what you're thinking about is right. Or we believe in you and you can do this right.
Yeah.
At an early stage, those are the only things that matter. And money is just a sign of validation for it. It is not necessary that your business will be successful if you take that money. There's no sign for that.
For this episode, I sat down with a failed entrepreneur. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not the theme of this podcast at all, but there is a twist. We explored how this founder's failure in his tech business actually set the foundations for him to become a successful venture capitalist. I present to you Maanav Sagar, the current partner at Bharat Founders Fund, or BFF for short. I really love that acronym. BFF is an early-stage venture group of the most successful Indian entrepreneurs globally, and they've got a great portfolio of some exciting companies. You can have a look at them at bff.investopad.com. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys. My goal for this interview really was to peek into the mind of a VC. So if you're in the process of raising funds for your tech company, you'll find a lot of useful nuggets in here, and you'll find that some VCs are actually human. Yep, who would have thought, right? Or in this case, some VCs can be fantastic and absolutely fun human beings. So Maanav and I talked about a bunch of things. We talked about how to spot opportunities anywhere. Hint, look at where you are spending your money personally. We talked about how to solve the main problem of your customer versus solving a tiny auxiliary problem of your customer, and truly understanding what product market fit really means. We also talked about how you went from making money in the merchant navy to burning money at a startup to eventually taking other people's money to invest in startups. We talked about his strange path and the strange circumstances under which he became a VC. So spoiler alert, he spent 8 years at sea in the oceans around the world, and he also spent 8 hours daily at WeWork without actually having any work to do. So Maanav's journey has had a lot of pivots, and so did this conversation. I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope you share it with your friends who need this right now. So without much further ado, here's Maanav Sagar of Bharat Founders Fund on the My First Business podcast. Maanav.
What's up, man?
Should I call you Big Maanav? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Malik. I'm excited about this.
Is it true, Maanav, that at some point in your career, you were at sea, maybe as a part of your job, and you were at the coast of South America? You're quite bored. You're so bored that you decided to jump into the water from the top deck.
Yeah, the first part is true. So it was quite funny, actually. I just didn't jump off just like that. I had a few drinks and I did it. So you need some courage to do that. But
liquid courage.
Yeah, liquid courage for sure. So I interestingly started my career out at sea when I was 19 years old. I was enrolled in this nautical training program where you can get certified as a navigating officer. But one time, we were drifting off the coast of South America, and we were on a container ship. We were just chilling. I'm safe to say this now because I'm not working in the merchant navy anymore, so nobody's going to fire me for saying this out, but whatever. So, and the captain's like, yeah, well, let's have a pool party. And we had a pool, or had a nice swimming pool on the ship. And there's yo, let's go to a pool party. And I go towards the swimming pool. I'm standing all excited, and he comes yo, we've got the ocean right outside. Why are we doing a pool party in a small tank here? Let's go jump in. And they did a nice process. They were oh, put a ladder. Everyone would ladder down and get into the water and wear a life jacket and chill. And people would pass drinks. I was young. I was energetic. I climbed up and I was I need to jump. This is it. This is the day I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, because how many times can you do that in your life? So yeah, I went and jumped from the deck, which was about roughly, I think, should have been north of 50 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, easily. It was a nice dive into the Pacific. So it was super nice.
Yeah. When you first told me about it, it's just been ingrained in my memory.
Yeah.
Just that visual of you doing that.
Yeah, it was this running kid who just goes, and he's 19. He's off the coast of South America. You feel fearless. You feel encouraged by every small thing to do any wild thing. And from there, it's been an interesting journey. So I was actually in the Merchant Navy for about 8 years. And interestingly, how it works in the Merchant Navy is that you work for a certain amount of time and then they give you a break for like 4 or 5 months. And then you go back and then go and work again. So it's like no Sunday for 8 months and then suddenly 4 months of Sundays. So that's how it actually works. And every time I would come back, what do you do as a 25, 26-year-old? You take your friends out to a bar, and imagine every day is a weekend, so you don't need to worry about the next day, so you go out pretty often. One day I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we used to very frequently go to this bar in Delhi. And, I just told him that, man, the amount of money that we are spending going out right now, if we would have saved so far, we could have owned this place. And he's like, yo, what's the proof? I was like, well, I mean, yeah, one element can be my credit card bills, but he's like, yeah, but we can't do it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get you. And then I was like, I went to the restaurant owner and I said, do you know who's your highest spender here? And he's like, yeah, I do. I was like, where is it logged? Well, he's like, well, nowhere. Like, we don't know. And I was just like, huh. So if you go and you leave this restaurant, who will know that who's the highest spender here? He's like, maybe the waiters will. I was like, well, they go as well. I was just like, that's interesting. So you have a very limited oversight on who are your key paying customers and who are going to be who's making business for you right now. And I had a couple of friends and I went to them. I was just like, guys, isn't it kind of weird that nobody inside a restaurant or a physical outlet knows who has the propensity to pay a lot? And they're like, well, no, again, they came back with the same points. Well, the waiter knows it. Maybe some people input into their billing software. You can get some insights from that and all that stuff. I said, well, anyway, I don't think so. I have no idea. I'm talking bullshit. I'm out. I'm going to go back to the ship. That's what I know what I do. I went back sailing. And on the ship, and over the years on the ship, we didn't have internet. So we would have satellite phones and a satellite connection. We would do a burst and then you get like a newsletter which you read. And I was interestingly reading a lot of tech newsletters. So I was always piqued, like my interest was always piqued with technology and how the world is changing, because on the ship you're so isolated. Because I remember once I came back and I picked up the phone and my parents are like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm calling for pizza. And they're like, we have an app for that. They're like,
it's bad when your parents are telling you about
it. Exactly. So imagine how far behind you can get if you're isolated in the ocean, right? Then I one day got an email from these two friends of mine who I had interestingly just told them that we're going to be doing, what do you think about this idea, this and that? And they sent me a pitch deck. Like it had some images in it. It had some workflow. And they said, how about we go build this? And I was like, okay. They're like, you're anyway going to come back for 6 months. You're not going to, every day is Sunday for you. You can probably spend some time doing some sales or learning about how to run this. And if it doesn't work out, go back sailing. And I was like, wow, this is like, I would say it's a no-brainer. I have very little risk in starting a business right now. And I said, what's it going to take? They're like X amount of money. I was like, sure, I can put that much money. And so I sent them an email saying, well, this seems interesting. Let's chat about it when I go back. We're going to put like these QR codes inside restaurants. And this is 2017.
Okay.
So they're like, we're going to put these QR codes inside restaurants and people will scan them, place an order, pay and move out. And that way we get crazy amount of data on every table, every person who's spending. We can do split bills, put a split wise inside it, and this is going to scale. This is going to be a $1 billion company. Showed me a revenue roadmap, showed me all of these things which I did not understand at that point in time. But I said, well, okay, you know what? You guys are the smart ones. And I think especially when you've not been doing anything on that side and you go called for something which is evolving at land when you've always been at sea, you had this bias and saying, yeah, whatever you guys are saying is right. We're going to do this. So, well, it's only 6 months. I can do that, right? And for the first 3 or 4 months, I did not understand technology. We outsourced it. So my friends did not leave their jobs. I did. Well, I didn't leave it, but I was like in that 6 month window. I was passive. I was trying to sell, but slowly I started going to a lot of these restaurants and trying to tell them, well, this is the future on how people are going to order inside your restaurants. Like, this is the future. I got so excited.
So you were doing sales?
Yeah, I was doing sales, and I was so, I would say, suddenly I fell in love with the problem. And more than that, I fell in love with the process to get that problem solved. So I did not understand tech, so that's not something which I was looking at. But what I was doing was I was going and chatting with everyone. But yeah, I was very energetic to build this startup out. 6 months passed, and after 6 months, I was like, wait, I love this too much to go back to sea. I don't want to go back to sea. We got some external validation, and that's where I think this whole VC or money or fundraise process comes, is that whenever anyone's trying to give you money on a base level, I would say that they're telling you that what you're thinking about is right, or we believe in you and you can do this right. Now we got somebody to back us, and I was like, man, I'm going to crush it now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, dreaming of different things in life. But the biggest problem was, while I was doing the sales, it was a tech product and we did not have a product market fit. We did not understand how a product's going to work. In the hindsight, it's very easy to look back and now talk about it, is that why it didn't work was it was a double-edged sword. One, inside a restaurant, you had to explain to the customer on how it's going to work. So I'm changing your experience inside a restaurant. And at the same time, I had to change it for the restaurant to understand how customers are going to. So now I'm altering business and I'm altering customers. And if I have to do that, that's like, I have to teach two people on how my product will work. And it was very tough. It was very, very tough to get over the line. So we ended up pivoting from that into another product where we were all about digitizing invoices on WhatsApp. And what we ended up building was this this tool where whenever you print an invoice, it'll send you a WhatsApp message from that business's WhatsApp for Business account as an invoice saying, here's your PDF copy. Thanks for shopping with us. Mm-hmm. That was game changing for us because it was easier to sell. I didn't have to train anybody. I just said, you're asking for numbers anyway. Everyone has WhatsApp. You're getting customers' data. We're going to do a quick read on that invoice that we're sending and understanding, who your customers is, what are they buying. And this scaled very fast. Like suddenly I was converting retail stores. I was converting electronic stores because you need warranties. I was converting jewelry stores because you need a jewelry invoice. So we went with this, and this started going up really fast. Like we started getting a lot of customers on board, and this scaled really quickly. Unfortunately or fortunately, one day WhatsApp launched its official APIs for you to build on top of. And they started shutting down. They had a lot of rules and regulations around how you can actually use WhatsApp for business. And the way we were doing it, I wouldn't say it was illegal, but it wasn't within those, like the framework of the requirements that WhatsApp had. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they started shutting down our customers' mobile numbers because they started saying that, well, you're not meeting X, Y, Z guidelines on this. You're not verified enough. You're not this and that. We were just like, oh shit. You know what? We suddenly started seeing this growth, what we've been waiting for 2.5 years. And suddenly WhatsApp is killing all of our business. I was a lot when my business was shutting down, I was a lot in self-doubt. Yeah. Of self-worth, self-capabilities. I was just like, well, this is not working out. I went to the team, I went to our investors, and I was just like, guys, I can't do this. And I feel very humbled and very, I would say, I'm very grateful for all of you guys to trust me with it. And I said, I'm going to just step down. If you want to run it, get somebody else to run it. I can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. They didn't. They shut down the business. We shut down the business. I signed off on the documents. I went to a friend who was then running a bootstrap tech company. His name is Tanmay. He's the founder of this company called Infido. And so I go to this guy and I'm like, listen, I request, he's like, what do you want? Do you want to work for us? I was like, no, I don't want to work for you. And he's like, okay, cool. What do you need from me? Like, I was like, I just need, honestly, an office desk. I can't sit at home all day. Yeah. So he was kind enough. He got me a desk at WeWork. I was the only person at WeWork who didn't work. which is quite funny. It's like really awkward, man.
Did you join We Don't Work?
Yeah, I was the founder of We Don't Work at WeWork. Like, I was just like quite literally the only guy who had a desk at WeWork and had no job.
Yeah.
But the good thing was I was showing up every day. And I think if you show up every day, you got half of your job done. Like 50% of the job's done.
Just showing up,
Yeah. And I was just showing up every day, and I think a few people might have filed a restraining order because I was talking to everybody. They'd like walk to the coffee stall, and I was just like walk behind them, hey, what are you doing? They're like, yo, what are you doing, man? I'm just making coffee. I was just like, no, you got like, what are you doing in life? And they're like,
how much money are you making? What's your LTV? How many customers do you have? Are you B2B or B2C?
Not all that, but like I just wanted to understand what are these people building. So within 3 months of being at WeWork without any work, I knew everybody there. I literally knew everybody. I knew the guys who were also cleaning the floor. I knew the guys who were on the third floor building and marketing. I knew their team members. I knew who was happy at his job or not happy at his job. I knew what problems each of these businesses were facing because I would just spend time listening to their story. And then I was like, wait, this guy came to me one day and he's like, listen, we're looking for, we sell XYZ things and we're looking for a customer in this space. Would you happen to know anybody? And I was like, wait, I know the guy on the third floor. I think he needs what he wants. So I was like, listen, I'll get you a customer. He's like, yeah, really? I was like, yeah, 100%. I went on to the guy who I knew at third floor. I told him about this sick product, which I happened to hear about. I connected the two of them. They made a large sale between them and they gave me some money. I was like, whoa, did I just get paid for connecting two people? For matchmaking. I'm like, wow, this is like gold.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really enjoyed this part. I enjoyed knowing what a business does, and I enjoyed helping him connect with another person who can be valuable to it. And then there was another case where they were trying to hire someone, and he was looking for, I think, their head of BD, and I knew the head of BD at another company who was not willing to work, and I did that again. And they came and gave me AirPods, and they're like, thanks for helping us out. And you got us as a head of business development. Great work. Thank you. And I was then seeing, like, my then girlfriend, now wife, she's been with me throughout this process of me starting a company, shutting it down, being at WeWork, and now whatever I do. Obviously, we're married. And I call up Shweta, and I used to tell her every day, like, about this and that. And I'm thinking she must be thinking, like, what a guy, like, what is he up to in life, but whatever. And she's like, why don't you think about where you can do this as a full-time job? I was like, wait, yeah, why don't I? And she's like, what about venture capital? And she planted the first seed. I was like, well, yeah, let me look up to it. And then I called up a few friends, got friends to connect me with other friends who are at VC firms. And a majority of them would be like, you know what, you don't have this degree from this top college, or you don't have an MBA, you're from Merchant Navy, or you're not a founder with a successful company, and so we can't hire you. And I was like, listen, I know all of that. Why aren't you telling me something that I don't know and why you can't hire me? Like, you're quite literally telling me no on my resume, right? You need to tell me apart from that, because otherwise, why are you talking to me in the first place? You could have just shut it down.
Yeah.
And but I started reaching out to a lot of places. Luckily, there was a fund that was getting set up called Good Capital. It was run by Arjun and Rohan Malhotra, and they were hiring their early team. I knew someone, and through my sister over there, and I was just like, all right, cool. They did a quick 10-minute video call, and then the longest interview process of my life for like 12 hours in their office. Yeah, it's absurd. And there was a small VC fund, which is just getting set up. So I ended up joining VC there. That's how it happened. In the middle, I learned a little bit, but my core reason on why am I a VC today is because of that experience of 12 months of WeWork, where I really found out what I enjoyed doing, which was listening to entrepreneurs, trying to see where I can help them out and where I can do this as a job.
Yeah.
And that is pure play venture, and get paid for it. Obviously, that's the like my relationship with money anyway. So
I think it's still working.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So that's how I got into VC and doing what I'm doing after this 50 minutes of a long monologue.
Yeah, I'm writing. I have the rights for your biography, so it'll start from here. This interview will be cited as 100%. The first one. It's like the start and the rise of Maanav Sagar. Okay, one of the core purposes of your job, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it true or not? Do you prefer to look for serial entrepreneurs when you're looking for your portfolio companies or not? If yes, why? If no, why? And if yes, how do you? What are the characteristics of someone who's not a serial entrepreneur yet, but you can see it? You can see like this is not the first rodeo they'll play. They'll play a lot more games after this. But is it true? Do you prefer to work with serial entrepreneurs, or does it matter?
I mean, well, that's a very interesting question, because you, as a venture capitalist, are looking out for people who are solving problems that can change the world tomorrow. And that sounds very bougie, I know, but that is actually what's true. You're looking.
It means everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, it's you're going. Either you're all in or you're nothing, right? And that's the kind of people you're looking for. Now, are those people serial entrepreneurs? Yes or no, if that's the question. And I think the answer is a yes and a no, because there are certain traits that I've learned over the last 4 years of investing, and one of them being, how are serial entrepreneurs different than a first-time entrepreneur? And one of them being, I think, and I can be wrong again, I think serial entrepreneurs are a little safer.
Okay.
And not as an investment opportunity, but their approach. Because they try and go after large markets for which products already exist. So they don't necessarily always enter the blue ocean. So they can be going after something which is a large market, and they've done enough networks and research. They have enough networks and they've done enough research to tap into it. And with that, you don't necessarily always see a lot of innovation. What you do see is doing it better than somebody else, or what you do see is trying to go and grab the market a lot faster and make revenue differences and stuff like that. I'm not saying this is not a general statement, first of all. This is like a small trend that I've kind of observed, is them going after problems which have solutions, but they want to go and do it better. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. But that's the general trend that I've seen.
Yeah.
With first-time entrepreneurs, they are little more agile because the thing is, because they have more room to play now. If Malik, tomorrow you are starting another company, you've learned the tracks. So you're not going to do certain things the next time, which you did the first time, because you've learned it. Yeah. But it's the path not taken for you as well, right? And for a first-time entrepreneur, they might just take that path and find crazy amount of innovation or growth or scale. Yeah. So I think they're riskier in their approach. They might be a lot more agile. They might be a lot more fast forward. And so are we looking for serial entrepreneurs? Hell yeah, man. Look, there are people who've built scale large companies. There's no reason why. And what serial entrepreneurs also come with is they kind of lack execution risk, which is the first thing when you have...
What do you mean execution risk?
When I'm giving you money,
yeah,
do I believe you'll be execute with it? Like, are you good enough to execute with that money right now? What validates that? With a serial entrepreneur, their previous past experience validates that. Like when they were given money, they executed it and got it right. But if you're not, how do I take that risk away when I'm drafting my investment memo and thinking like, why should I invest in this person or not? And I think serial entrepreneurs sometimes do come with lower execution risk because they've done something before. They come with exits. They come with a known network. They know a lot more people. Are we only looking for them? No, because if that was the case, then how would you back new innovation or new talent if you're always looking for serial entrepreneurs? That's like asking somebody for a 10-year experience as soon as they're out of college.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So my thing is, my thought process around it is to look for people who are hungry, energetic, understand the market, have unique insights, which I have and you don't, have a strong go-to-market plan in going and have done something on ground by themselves, which they think that can scale very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of like a few things we should look out for.
So when we're living in Dubai, and we can talk about the different markets that businesses operate in, but for example, for Dubai, Alina and I are more of the boring business category. We like boring businesses. We like cash flow businesses. We like businesses that are closer to turning profit. So which is the tried and tested models. And back to the point you said, like, just do it a little better than what's being done right now. So we're not technically chasing any blue ocean as such, because we don't have a tech advantage, for example, or we don't have IP advantage, or we don't have, anything that, a secret that we, as Peter Thiel says, a secret that we know that nobody knows. So we try to go after these boring businesses. Now, having said that, it's further niching down to service-based businesses. So services that we provide to other corporates, that's the other niche that we're in. What we're starting to realize, and the reason I asked this about the serial entrepreneurs, is if you can identify some of the characteristics, because if you want to survive with the GCC as your market or Dubai as your market, the population is not in your favor.
Yeah.
The number of businesses, lower, let's say, compared to the United States.
Yeah.
The number of people that will purchase your services or will be benefited by the people purchasing your services, also lower. So our only path, and we've just come to realize this, is we need multiple businesses.
Right.
We need to get this one so automated and fully out of our hands. It's managed by a general manager, or the systems are in place that looks after itself. But we need to start leveraging our time. Because as a business owner, that's what you need to do, is how can your 16 hours a day look different? Because every hour is so highly leveraged. Every decision you make on how you want to spend that hour is so highly leveraged. So we're trying to get into the multiple business territory. And at the same time, every weekend, as you were referring to, like the knowing what not to do.
Yeah.
Every weekend we come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Should we do this? Should we do that? But now that we have experience with the first one, it's so much easier for us to not get into shitty businesses.
Yeah.
Because you get an idea like while you're showering, while you're taking a poop, and you're like, oh, that'd be good. Then we go talk to each other and we break down the economics. Okay, how long would it take to this to be successful? What's the LTV? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, there's such a romantic idea of being the first step of, I guess, of being a serial entrepreneur is just going through a lot of rubbish ideas.
Yeah.
And I guess I need to understand how serial entrepreneurs find that next thing, because they have that in common. For
100%.
sure, they come up with 100 rubbish ideas.
They do.
But how do they identify for themselves what their next thing is going to be?
Right. And that's a very interesting question, because all the serial entrepreneurs we're packed, and I'm saying they're phenomenal, incredible people, and how they come out with
the more interesting positive versus picking something is how they rubbish things too. Like how they throw them in the pile with, no, not doing this. What's their decision making there? What insights do you have?
I would just say start with your areas of expertise. Sometimes that can be very advantageous, sometimes not, because you might think that some things don't work because you've tried it, but they actually might be working. And like my thought process on this is generally try and spend a lot of time. If you narrow down on a problem, and you're asking how do you narrow down on a problem first, right? So what you do is you try and see what areas do you have maximum expertise in, right? So you're like X, Y, Z. But if there's an area where you don't have maximum expertise, but you have a peak, that means high interest, you try and gain that. So it has to be only expertise or interest, because if you don't have neither of them, you're kind of going after something which you're just doing for money. And trust me, it's going to be tough, because if you want to do something for money, you can go back to your last job, Malik. So
yeah, can you shout that from the top of the rooftops? Because I'm sure we both know people that are thinking like that. Like, what's the closest way to make money?
Yeah.
Do I have interest in it? No. Do I have experience? No. But I want to make money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing those two things, then that's the first process that I would
I like
take.
that framework.
Just be like, do I have interest in this space? Well, yes, I have a lot of interest in this space. Do I know enough? No. So what do I need to do that so I can do that? I'm an expert in this space? Hell yeah. But am I interested in growing it? Maybe not. But maybe when I find something interesting in it, hell yeah. So try and put those first two buckets out.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing with this podcast. I have high interest, and I'm building up the expertise. But I haven't figured out what problem that I will solve that would make this a business of its own.
But that's part of the process, right? Like if you had that, then you're just sitting on a golden egg, and not everyone sits on it. So it's not every day like, oh, you're just like, well, boom, I'm building something. All the big companies that built and scaled over the years were built over a time period. Like you need to give it time. And as an entrepreneur, also, you need to also think that if you have enough runway and that risk appetite to take it that long, especially if you're a serial entrepreneur, because if you're a serial entrepreneur, that means you've been exposed to something great with one business once. The next time when you're doing it, you need to ensure you have enough runway or time or, money so that that's not a stress factor for you. Because you need to eliminate those things as well and say like, all right, 2 years, we don't get paid. Do we have it? And I would go do the regret test and go and think, if I'm very old, would I have regretted not doing this? And if the answer is yes, that's very simple for you. You're just like, yeah, I should do this.
I like that.
Why am I not doing it?
I've said this on camera and on mic before. I think one of my other guests, I said that when I'm 55 and 60, I still see myself in front of a mic and possibly a camera and having these conversations. I totally see that.
100%, man. And I would just think like, why don't we do a regret test? Like, am I going to regret not doing it? And see, well, like if this works out, it doesn't work out, or our podcast works out or not. When I'm 60, I'm not going to regret because at least I tried. Come on, man. Let's do it. Right. And that's what I feel is the second framework for you to think, how much would you regret on something like this? When we're making this decision, we have established that you don't have factors externally, that means beyond you, like money, time, health, limiting you. We're thinking about that, and for a window of X number of years, because you need to make sure how your external factors are also plugging in with you, because they impact your decision making quite a bit. So all the people who you're talking about who want to make quick bucks are probably getting impacted by those factors and saying, well, I'm not really happy with the money I'm making right now, and I want to go make more money. How do I do it more quickly? So, and there's nothing wrong with building businesses that can be acquired. A lot of people do that as well. But is it fulfilling for you? That's a question which you need to answer. So now what you've done is you've done your interest check, you've done your regret check on your ideas and frameworks. Now, the next thing which you start trying to think about is, if I like an idea and within these frameworks, what do I not have which can help me get that? And do I have access to it?
So that could be capital, people,
research, whatever. Network, founders, founding team members, talent. Would other people be matter to it to have access to achieve it? Because if you can do something just by yourself, you can be a freelancer and do a great job. A lot of people make money through it. That's another business model, and you can be it. Like that's what you want to be. You can. But if you're setting up a business, do you have the additional resources apart from yourself, which are going to help you get what you want to get,
or necessary to help you get
and I think it's, as an entrepreneur, it is as important as it is for you to know your strengths. It is important for you to know your weakness and how you can solve for that. So if you don't know your weaknesses, which is kind of not a great place to be at, because then you don't know who to hire to do something better than what you can do. And if you're building a business, it's you plus team. It's a team. And if you don't go with that framework on hiring someone who can do a job better than you can, then you're not probably doing a good job in hiring. You need to hire people smarter than you. And those people need to love you and love what you're building as well, because that's your early team. If you're not getting that right, it's not a great mix. Then they're on payroll. They're just trying to go do some stuff.
9 to 5, check in, check out.
Check in, check out, and you need to give them ownership. Might be ESOPs, might be stock options, might be a function or a role or a platform for them to do whatever they want to do. And that was a great part about my job, and they let me do it. when I joined Good Capital, they're just like, you know what? Go figure it out. You're gonna be head of sourcing. You're gonna get sourced the best opportunities. And I did a bunch of stuff. And I think that's where it clicked with them to hire an entrepreneur to come and join their team early, because you're taking on different things. You're getting that agility to find the right direction to go and build something actually great.
Yeah.
And the last and the most important thing which I would think about when you're going with this idea, and the question was, how much roof does it come with? That means understand the macro for that problem as well, not only the micro and the bottom-up insights, but the macro. And the reason why I say it is it will tell you where you get limited, and at what margins you get limited by just general sense. And I'm not talking about CAC, LTV, etc. Because what businesses get built out today are not necessary to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Zomato was initially a food directory talking about which restaurants exist across the globe and what are the menus. It's delivering food now. It's gone public. So it's doing something completely different. They didn't know they're going to be delivering food. That's not what they started out to do.
Yeah.
But what they did get into was an industry which had no limit. They were like, restaurants, sky's the limit. We're going to have a huge market. There's so many of them. We can expand horizontally into different verticals for them. So maybe try and get a grip on what's your capping on it.
I wish you told me that 3 years ago or 4 years ago, because I've just recently, I've been doing this. I joined Alina. Alina started the business. It was a freelancer turned agency business, an accidental business. She never wanted to be
I love accidental
a business owner. She was a freelancer. She got a few
I'm
clients.
an accidental VC, so let's go for it.
Yeah, and I was an accidental too, because I didn't have any advertising background. I was sales background. I'm a cold caller. I did the hustle that you did, going into restaurants and talking to owners and just selling the wares and figuring out if they want it or not. So we got into it because of the romanticism of the business. So not a lot of this. Yes, a bit of expertise, a bit of interest. Regret test was more about, can we become entrepreneurs versus this particular business, because that was the first business. Then do we have do we have the ecosystem around us, which is the people, the capital. We started off thinking we're an island, just me and her, we can do this. That's all completely proven wrong. And now we're on this journey. A few months ago, I started doing projections for what does a roof look like, as you call it. And it looks like shit for the current business, right? In the sense that it has a limit. And beyond that limit, it morphs into something that is not holding our interest in the business anymore. Right. Which is a sad part, but it's a good part because we know where that cap is and we can kind of work towards that, milk that, make this a cash flow business and go into the next one. So agency business models are service business, right? You get clients, there's a team to service them on the very basic level. The cap means having more clients. More clients means more people. More people means more clients. And then you go up there and at some point your margin caps out because you need to incur incremental costs to service more customers, which means you need to get an office in Media City Towers, then get expensive rents, then get a nice office with so your costs rise very neck to neck with your revenues. So your margin's pretty capped. So when we looked at that, we didn't want to get into that because philosophically we don't see ourselves in the 2 floors in an office building, lots of cubicles, our office in the corner. We're not those people. We're very t-shirt businesses. We're I love it. Everyone work from home. We're good culture and everything, that kind of thing. So we are, all these 4 things are starting to come to us to make us realize this is a proof of concept. Can we do business? Do we understand the ins and the outs? Are we building all these things? And it's a tough journey, man. I know what you mean. These lessons are so hard. Every conversation that I have now is why didn't I know this 3 years ago? Well,
if you did, Malik, then you wouldn't have been on this journey. And I think this journey is equally important for you to come to it. So, I feel you, man, because these are really, really interesting times for a lot of businesses. What you got to be a little okay with when you're doing, and listen, just because I'm a VC, I don't look at all businesses as a VC business. And it doesn't have to be. My dad ran a manufacturing unit for shirts. I tried joining that just realized that it wasn't my style of business.
I was going to ask, do you come from like a family business background?
Yeah. So I was just like, man, this doesn't really go for me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it.
Was he disappointed in you?
Nah, he was sure. He was like, yeah, fine, you don't want to do it. He's like, oh well, I'm glad. So he wasn't. I think one thing one thing I felt very lucky was about the ecosystem that I was with and how supportive it was to me, letting me do what I want to do. And sometimes you're not lucky enough to have that, and that becomes more challenging. So, but that's for another day. But very honestly, I don't think making service cap business is a bad thing any day. It can be great. You can make good money. You can make good enough margins.
Yeah. Decent margins. We can do 70. We can do 70, 75. If we stretch it, 75% margins.
That's not bad money, man.
As an EBITDA margin, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid, bro. A lot of businesses are never able to achieve those ones.
Yeah.
And but the only thing is that if what you do today needs you to keep are you going to get redundant there or not? And if you can make yourself redundant,
that is the plan we're making.
You can grow out really fast, because I love redundancies at times.
Yeah.
Because it's just like such a interesting feeling.
Yeah.
And it's also a very tough feeling, because I've seen entrepreneurs who struggle with redundancies when their company starts scaling. And they do not want to let go of the small parts that they had control over.
I've seen that a lot here, especially.
It's a struggle, man. And that stops the business, and you don't understand it. So sometimes, as a founder of a company, you don't always have to stay as a founder of a company.
Yeah.
You'll always stay as a founder of a company, but you don't always have to be the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
So you should be smart enough to know when you need to move out to do something else.
Yeah.
And the business can kind of have those things greased, oiled enough for you to provide it, even if it cuts down your margin, say what you're pocketing every month from 75 to say 35%, because now you've got a part owner in it. It's giving you that much more time
and flexibility
to travel. You're just like, well, this is running, we tried it.
Well, that's the thing. So like in 2023 we have 4 goals for the business, right? Like we're trying to keep it simple this year, just 4 main goals. One of the goals, Alina is the current CEO. Goal number 3, after we accomplish 1 and 2, is how do we fire her? And that's like an agreed.
That's beautiful.
It's like how do we get rid of you from the business, because you are too entrenched in it. You are too important to the business. You are becoming irreplaceable. And that's a risk that we've identified for our time, sanity, flexibility, ability to travel, have a child, all 100%. That kind of thing. So goal number 3 is, after we hit 1 and 2, is how do we make you exit your own business, but stay the founder, as you said, but not the CEO. And that is easier said than done, especially if she would be in the tech world, she would be the technical founder. So she's the Zuckerberg who came up with the initial thing that is kind of running, and it's a very her thing. So we've done a lot of work, operational manuals, every step, every checklist of her job is like now starting to be outlined. And we're going to start taking portions of that and start looking for people that are more expensive. As you said, we go from the 75% margin to a 35%, and then take that time and flexibility, open up to the universe again and be like, where am I needed? What else can I be doing? So
it's a journey, man. It's a journey, and you got to go through it. And if there were shortcuts, everyone would take them, right? It's like the easier. And I'm a guy only about, like, I think what is very key is also for you to be aligned to your principles. Those are the ones on the grounds of which you do anything and everything. If you have them nailed to the T, that forms the culture into whatever you build. It forms the work that you do and how you do it and how well do you do it. And these are small things in business ethics which everyone should have, about the rights and the wrongs and what to do's and what not to do's. And I'm not saying it's all put in a framework, but what I'm saying is that it's very important for you to stay true to yourself on what you believe in.
You know, we think about this a lot. Alina and I talk about this a lot. So we're not as turned on by money as the final goal,
Right.
Where it's just not our thing. Like we've tried it. You see a lot of hustle porn on the social channels where it's like, oh, I'm gonna make billions. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. We have found
another white boy with a podcast.
Another white boy with a podcast, crypto. Okay. But we have the way we're trying to build our life, our business is a part of it,
right?
And our values, our principles are in direct competition with our business growing really fast, if that makes sense. So we have made sacrifices for the purposes of our lifestyle that hurt the business. And we're learning how much of that is okay with. So I have 3 reasons why I got into business. One is to have a lifestyle of my choosing from a corporate job. So do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, whenever I want, that kind of thing.
Love that.
Second reason was money. So not the first, not the last.
That's fine. Money has to be a reason, man. You can't be doing 100%. Anything for not money. Like, it's stupid.
I know how to use money to improve my life. So, and I want more of it. Sure, I will get it. Number 3 happened to be a form of creative expression. So I'm creative at heart. Alina's creative at heart. I play 5 musical instruments. She writes a lot. So we have any business that we do has to satisfy that category. And we've realized, like our framework, you said we don't need to put things into framework. My framework is 2 out of these things need to exist in my business at all times. Yeah. So either I need to have lifestyle and money together. If I have both, I can give up a bit of the creativity. If I have creativity and lifestyle, I might be giving up on the money, which happens at some points in our business where we have a great lifestyle. I can nap at 2 a.m. and nobody would care. And I'm doing something creative like this podcast, but it's not making us money. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, 2 of those things are working. The money will follow at some point. Yeah. So we try to live by those rules, but I do want to switch gears. I want to go back into VC land. Yeah. I want to talk about access to deals.
Access to deals?
The access game.
The access game. I love access, man.
What, it plays so well into your time from WeWork, I guess.
Just access all the time.
But for people that don't know, what does that mean? We're talking, our own terms. So what is the access game? How would you say that for deal sourcing and VC? What does that mean?
I think as a VC, what is something proprietary that you can do as a VC? Malik with money versus Maanav with money. Both are VC funds. Mm-hmm. What can you do different? What can I do different? Like, just a random question to you. What do you think?
Source better deals.
No, that's for output.
That's the end goal.
That's the output. That's the end goal, sourcing better deals. But what can you and I do to source better deals? Or how can we, like, there are 2 people in front of you. Yeah. Like Malik and Maanav, both of them have money. Yeah. You're an entrepreneur. Why would you go to either one of them? Ooh. So, like, as an entrepreneur, what does a VC come to you?
So they're both offering me
money,
good deals, good money.
So that's exactly. If VC was all about money, that would be very different. It's not. So as a VC fund, you need to build certain properties that can help you source better deals. Mm-hmm. For example, for us, I run Bharat's Founders Fund, called BFF.
I love that. I love that it's called BFF.
Yeah, that was intentional. We quite literally call it BFF for that reason. But and that BFF goes with it. We're like, we're your BFFs. But apart from that, it's a collective of incredibly successful founders who are willing to back early stage entrepreneurs in their personal capacity, who we back along. We've created this platform for entrepreneurs to come and get money from the best minds in the country who build successful companies. Mm-hmm. And that is a property which attracts.
What do you mean
people.
Property? How
like, it's a property as in, like, what I mean is, like, it's something which we have created, which is attractive, which we own, which is attractive to founders to come to us. So tomorrow, if there's Malik with money and there's Maanav with money and this network of people, I would be more attractive. So what you need to do as a VC to source best quality deal flow is build these engines or these small units which entrepreneurs can come use or get value from, and not just from the money. So be a BFF. Hell yeah. That's what you got to do. And you got to be fast with deploying capital. You gotta pick up the phone when they call you any day, anytime. So be available for them. You got to be their cheerleaders. Like at the end of the day, you need to be shouting on the top of the roof their name and saying these guys are going to be big. Because if you're not investing without conviction, you're just not investing. Like, so you need to be investing with conviction. You need to go and thump the table and say, guys, this guy's kick ass, this girl's kick ass, they're going to crush it. And so you need to be a great cheerleader. That's important. So you need to talk about your investments. You know, talk about why you're excited about them. You got to make them feel the same way as well. Because if you're an investor who's like, about a company in which you invested in, because as a founder, as an investor, you're investing in 50 companies or 40 companies. As a founder, you just have one. So you need to feel that. You need to know that this for the founder, it is just their one company. But for you, it's 50. So you can't go in with, but you need to make sure that one is also the one for you.
Yeah.
So be that investor. So I think and then obviously there's a large side of marketing and building the large top of funnel.
Sure.
Being out there on the internet and talking about this and that. And I mean, I'm not a big believer in like putting out knowledge, thought leadership thoughts that much. I do a little bit of it, but I mean, they work as well. And that puts you out there because a lot of people will know about you.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that if you do those right as well, you can really do a really large sourcing engine.
Yeah.
And the best thing is at the end of the day, VC is a human game. Like as much as generative AI plus the whole technology world's coming up, venture capital businesses are the most human capital intensive businesses ever. Like we're literally humans.
Yeah.
We have tech, a little bit of it. We do some stuff with it, like trying to be cool because we're tech investors.
Yeah.
But it's only about relationships.
Yeah.
It's about people.
You're talking about, if I could summarize it, the vibe.
Yeah, it's about the vibe, man.
It's the vibe.
You got to get the good. You got to get the good vibes in. You got to feel that positive thing when you have a conversation with an entrepreneur. Like there've been times when I've spoken to entrepreneurs and they loved me and I loved them. I was just like, it was mutual. I was just like, bro, take my money. Like, literally that. And that's coming through. And at the same time, there are people who are just saying, listen, you know what? My round is full. I don't care. I'll get you in.
Yeah.
That means investing is a two-way street. It's not one way. You're not just, it sounds that way because people in the ecosystem put investors on top of a pedestal and be like, yo, because
as
the
if
buy
they
side
hold some power.
Yeah, but you get this buy side, sell side thing, which I spoke about when I went to that restaurant and the guy made me wait for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot from entrepreneurs about that investors. They go and they make them wait and they're taking their own sweet time and this and that. Man, if somebody really likes you, they go for you.
Yeah.
Like it's
you need to be made to feel that way too.
But that's the point, right? Because investors have been put up on this huge stand and saying like, oh my God, they are investors. I remember there was a time when we were trying to raise capital when my own first venture.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Nobody was talking to us. We were just like, yo, why are people not talking to us? Like, I just go up to them. And for me, I come from a very simple idea. Everyone's human. You can talk to anyone. They all speak like the same language.
Sure.
If they don't, you can try sign language. But listen, they all talk.
This is Maanav the extrovert speaking.
Yeah, just be like, well, why do you have to shy away from talking to somebody? Like, what's the worst they can do? Is like, no, we can't talk to you. Fine, they're not talking to me anyway. So there's nothing that can go wrong. And so this is one time, and this is like I was about to write a small post on it. Like things you should not do to get your investors' attention is trip them and then catch them so that you get their attention.
Yeah.
Like we were 3 founders. I told one of them, "Why don't you go trip the guy and I'll catch him?" And you're never going to be like, "No, don't do that." I'm gonna get that. Somebody sue me for this. It's just like shit. The guy tripped me, but what I'm saying is that they are not investors are not any different. And as an entrepreneur, you need to realize that you will make them money.
Yeah.
So if you have that mindset when you're going in and raising rounds, and I'd talk about like 5 or 6 things about how to get introduced to a VC. I'm all about shoot your shot. But at the same time, I think the ecosystem's very small and it is important for you to be plugged into it because there's a lot to learn in parallel markets and in parallel businesses as well. And there's a lot you can learn from other entrepreneurs who are doing the same thing. So be plugged into the ecosystem. Try and find somebody who's an evangelist for your business, who's like very excited about it and who can connect you with the VC.
Yeah.
And be like, guys, you know what? Like when we get calls from some people and they're so excited about it, I'm excited about the company even before I'm talking to them because this guy is excited about it and I trust this guy or this girl. So I'm just like all about the people who are sending you in information. Sourcing. And then at the same time, you need to cast your net wide. It cannot be small. It cannot be, just with a few people who source. Because the thing about investing is, and the beauty about it is the fact that you're sitting and talking every day to people who are trying to do something to change the world. Every day. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, that's like a crazy great job. And what you can do is, if you start, what you will start doing is, like at any job, when you start looking at things in repeated ways, you start to form a bias. And I think it is imperative for you to break out from those biases, because otherwise you'll make the same investing strategies for years. And that's not how it's going to always work out. Things will change, behaviors will change, talent will change, entrepreneurs will change. It is natural. So you need to be just like finding the right kind of mix on your net of people where you source these opportunities from. And you're right, like the end game is the vibe that you give off as an investor.
Well, it's nice to hear that, because you're treating this as a business with a value proposition, right? You need to have It's like any other business. Even though you are funding other businesses, you yourself are a business at 100%. The end of the day. And you need to find your own value proposition, your own like catchphrase, you need your own things. And I said vibe because when we started the studio, there's nothing different in terms of equipment that we can do with the market, right? Yeah. Anyone can source these cameras. Anyone can get these lights. Anyone can get these. These are mass-produced things. Anyone can get them.
Yeah.
What has been working for Podster very well for the studio is the vibe.
100%. We love it.
This is the first time I'm meeting Shafi, but like I know I'll get along with him. We have got great operators here as well that you just bring in and they come and treat you like when for example, Marwan, shout out to you, but when he's taking care of me in a way that no other studio will.
That's sick, bro.
The other studios might, but all they do is open the door for you, turn on the camera, and just like, here you go. Here's your hour, pay, and then do your thing and get out.
Yeah.
Which is why when we decided to build a new studio, we have 3 studios, but we made the largest area in that new studio is a networking area.
Yes,
it's where the content creators meet. So when you come out of a studio and go to the next one, or between shoots, you have coffee, you sit down with people, there's workshops happening there.
You're creating serendipity.
So we're creating people connecting with each other. Like, I can source new guests there. I can do collaborations and stuff like that. And not a lot of other studios are focusing on the vibe. They're focusing on the end product, the output. For the agency, it's the same thing. We're in a very red ocean, Alina and I. And it's hard to differentiate in terms of the actual solution that we do. It's highly replicatable. The only thing that's different is how
exactly
how we make the customer feel when they get on a discovery call, the first ever call with us. Like, how can I make you feel like I would love to work on your business? And this is why. And we're gonna love being partners, not a vendor. We're gonna love being partners.
I love that.
We're business owners. You're a business owner. We're gonna help you do the marketing, but we're gonna help you with the business, and we're gonna have fun doing this. Most of our clients, the qualification for us is, will they end up becoming our friends? Because if they can't, if it's like a large corporate that calls us and they're like, we're going to give you a lot of money, this is the scope of work, and we're like, we don't want that. I don't want your money. I want friends.
Honestly,
can I get friends?
Exactly.
Like, friends with a bit of money is better than a lot of money 100%, with no friendships.
100%.
Right?
I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to do. There's some people who are cutthroat and different energy. And all that I'm saying so far, and I'm jamming with you on this, is that we're very similar in outlook, and some people are different. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't really I like the idea about first business, and I love that, is because that everyone can have a different approach to it. Yours is this, mine is similar, and then there'll be somebody who has a different approach. They're like super about
I get
profits
to hear
and
all
margins.
of them.
Like, like, bro, I gotta be crushing each and they're in love with that.
Yes.
So like, to me, anyone and everyone who has built a successful venture has something which they're in love with. And for you, it's the vibe. For me, it's the vibe, the people. So for some people, it's not that. Sometimes it's money. They're like crazily obsessed with it. And that's also a great thing to have. Like, it's like you're obsessed with it. As far as you're obsessed, you're loving something and you're married to something, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
You're going to crush it, like, for sure.
Or just do it to yourself. Be true to yourself. Like, I gave you those 3 reasons why I own business, a lifestyle. Like, know your own, like, whys, I guess, right? Like Shweta helped you understand your why. Like, hey, you fucking love doing this.
Yeah.
You like talking to people. You know, they are. Like, I'm nothing without her. Like, I'm literally on the street without mine, right? But, like, having that why. So when I started this podcast, for example, I wanted to know how other people are building their business. I'm like, I'll learn.
Yeah.
All I've learned is there is nothing to learn from other people. What you have to do is learn about yourself more than you can, because 20 episodes in, I have 20 different ways of running my first business.
Right.
Everyone, as you said, some are people got gung-ho about the money and the margins, cutthroat. They're like doing this, like working 12, 15, 16 hours a day. And then there's people like me, and there's people in the middle. Yeah. So obviously, as you know, there's no one right way
100%,
to do it.
100%.
So what started off as like, hey, I want to take notes, and after 20 episodes, this is why I'm looking for that pivot with you as well, is I'm not saying that I know everything and I don't want to learn anymore. I just know that getting more opinions is not helping me anymore. What is helping me more in my business is getting to learn myself a bit more.
That's beautiful.
And you learn your own strengths and what you like, what you don't like, and then you marry it with your goals.
Right.
And no one else can set your goals for you.
Yeah, nobody can do it, man.
I want to talk about something on camera that we've talked about off camera before. So we're going to take a little left turn in these questions, and we have 15 minutes before we wrap up. So
let's go.
We talked about financial freedom once. I think the last time we had a timeout.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about
tea there.
I've been I've been thinking about that. You know what? I've started to talk to a lot more people about financial freedom and what it means. And just the thing with like the first business, no one ever has the same answer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you on camera too, what does financial freedom mean for you? Do you even have it as a goal? And if it is, what does that look like in terms of qualitative and quantitative? And you can share numbers too. Like, I'd love for you to share numbers if you can, and just open up about that, because there's no matter who I talk to, everyone has a different answer. And I thought your answer was pretty interesting. It had to do with infinity.
Yeah. And that's particularly with businesses in particular, when, like you said, number 2 was money, and money is important, and I'm in the business of money, and I'm financially responsible for the money that I manage. And money is important because it gets you to financial freedom. And my recent how does, like, basic fundamentals of money or any business is cash in, cash out, right? You put some money in, you get something running, and then you take some money out, and then you keep repeating that cycle over and over again. And at a VC business or a startup, it's a little different. It's cash in, cash in, cash in, cash in, cash in, and then some cash out when you're building something large, and then lots of cash out.
How many years?
7 years, 10 years, depends on businesses. Some do it really fast in like 3 years. And these are 2 different types of businesses now we've spoken about. We've spoken about one, which is a venture scalable back company. That means cash in, cash in, cash in, cash in, cash in, and big flood of money coming out. And one in which you put in money today, book this podcast studio, take the money out, you made money on day one.
Yeah.
So honestly, it depends on what business you're in. But you as an individual get impacted by both of them. Because whatever one you're running, how do you move to a space where your mind is free from the stress of you making your next monthly paycheck? What can you do? So my idea with just like going about finances is, let's look at it backwards and how much money you're going to spend. When you're in when you post your 70s, 60s, you're going to spend less money. When you're in your 20s, again, your chart is just going up. When you're in that 30 to 50 window, you're probably spending the maximum amount of money because you're putting your kids into school, you're buying a house, you're making investments, and you're doing all this stuff. So this is the most critical period where most of us are probably right now in our lives, where we want to build something where we leave behind enough for our kids, because nobody's going to remember us after like 300 years or 200 years or even like 50 years or whatever, right? But where we've built a mechanism where we are able to support at least till a certain point for ourselves, not worry about things. Now, my suggestion is to come to a point where you invest money into places which can give you returns enough for you to keep living how you're living today. So say you're making $100,000 collectively, or say 100,000 dirhams, because we're in Dubai, so 100,000 dirhams a month collectively. You're like, wow, we're able to travel with this money. We're able to invest a little bit of it. We're able to save a little bit of it. We're able to live our lifestyle, our house, rent, car, everything's done. We're collectively okay here. I'm not saying great. I'm saying okay here. I'm using that number just so that the multipliers can work a lot easier. It can be different for everyone. The thing is with money is that you can keep spending more, but you will stop enjoying it after a point. It'll become like something that you're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Will it though? I don't know.
So it depends from people to people.
I want to do that test. I want to see when I get to $1 billion if I still enjoy it or not.
Yeah, well, you should, man, because I think it's like, but no, some people are obsessed with it, and that's a great thing. Like they like to buy certain things in their life, and it's fine. It's nothing wrong with it, but you go to that stage also with what you have. You always get to that stage with your base, so you always keep changing what you're buying as per what your base keeps changing.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we're assuming you're at a base at your 30s, which is this much right now. Like we're assuming that's the base you're at.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get for you to make that money every month, what you're okay with right now? Because now you apply a simple math to it, annual increment, say 10% every year. You're putting that on and on. You put a compounding investment return, average interest rate, say 7% year on year, whatever you're putting in. Add those interests with 17% bump, net every year. Put that money on 100,000 a year, or say making $1 million dirhams collectively a year. That means 170 on top of it every year. 170 compounding goes up. Your ladder. You can calculate how much you're going to make at 50 if you keep doing the same thing today. Right now, you can do it. And what you can do is your expenses. You can do the math. It's lovely. Yeah. It's not too tough. You can even code a calculator for this, or ask ChatGPT to do it for you, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is try and understand the principal amount here, and that is your monthly pay. How does that come without you doing anything every month? What can you do to get that?
At the age of like 50, 55, whatever age you choose.
Whenever.
Yeah.
How you need to? You can try and put a target to it at 40. This is my financial goal, that whatever I'm making today at 40, this will be coming in monthly. And you know what that's going to do is it's going to help you invest in certain spaces where you find low risk, high risk, and medium risk investments.
Yeah. And
how I would generally think about it is taking out 10% and putting into very high risk. Because this is the money lost. It's lost. It's gone.
It's play money.
It's play money.
Yeah.
And the beauty about play money is it's binary. That means it's either 0
or 100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's insane because if you get that 100, you're knocked out of the park. You're just going crazy. And if it's a 0, then you're like, oh shit. All right. But you need to understand
10% of your total.
Yeah.
Net
Or
worth.
whatever. It can be 5%. It can be even 3%. But you need to be sure and comfortable with thinking that this much money in my life is not going to make any difference in positive or negative way.
Yeah.
You need to understand both of them. So and that's complete wipe off money. And that the beauty about that is that the chances of you hitting that just by math is quite low, but over a period of 10 years is quite still possible. So you might hit it. I'm not saying be crazy and go and buy a lottery ticket. Like don't do that. Be smart about high risk investments.
Yeah.
Make them where you think multiples can come.
Yeah, still do your due diligence.
Yeah, still do it. Like don't be dumb. Like,
don't be gambling with it.
Yeah, don't be gambling with it. Like I'm not saying do that. Like that's not how you can make it. So I am also a big believer if anything grows too fast, it's too good to be true then.
Yeah.
So you need to be sure about where you're putting in that money. It can be investing in startups, giving it to your friends. It can be thinking about maybe doing an 8-10% through, some people think about crypto. Maybe that's an asset class which they think. I don't know much about it. But some can think about fractional ownership of businesses. thinking that it's going to give you fixed returns, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it becomes big. Maybe it becomes a chain.
Yeah.
And investing in startups is just one asset class on a high risk. There are quite a few other instruments which can go in high risk, and you can invest in them.
If can I ask, as a business owner, if I wanted to get into a tech startup and put my money towards it, you guys are already cornering that market by providing all the funding to these startups.
Yeah.
How can people like me get a part of that action?
There are a lot of investing platforms like AngelList, etc. available where you can go sign up and it shares your list of deals.
Yeah.
Sound it off with a friend. They charge a little bit of fee, but you can get an exponential return on those platforms as well.
How can they give advice to AngelList?
No, they won't give you advice, but they'll share an opportunity for you to invest in. So a few of those where...
Is there someone I can pay to get advice? Like, is this a sound investment or not based on my current situation?
I mean, honestly, just use your friends or people. Like, I would say that you can do it. Obviously, you can pay someone, but normally when I think about it on ground up investing, dude, just call me, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm set. And all you guys, just call Maanav.
But try and get yourself plugged into this network.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about doing it, because don't do it just because
it's just for that 10%.
Even if it is, but just try and you know what? It's great for you to know other people who are in the investing VC world, or it's great for you to know people who are building startups. Like, you will have a wider network, and there's what's there to complain in that?
The Maanav extrovert comes back again.
I'm just saying.
People are lovely. I love people. I want them all the time.
No, but I'm just saying that try and or reach out to them.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm saying is don't pay an expert for it, because now you're paying an expert to make high risk investment bets. Like,
plus they don't have skin in the game.
They don't have skin in the, that doesn't make any difference. Just try and get somebody who has skin in the game as well.
Okay.
Or try and one great thing which you can do as an angel investor is get into a network of other angel investors or other investors who have done this.
Right.
So try and find people in your network who are making these investments.
Yeah.
And for the first 1 year, you know what? Do whatever they're doing. Because they're investing.
Yeah.
So they are putting in some money. You don't want to go with 10%? Yeah, go with 5%.
Yeah.
Go a little bit less money and say, bro, wherever you're putting money, put my money too. I put money on my mouth because I trust you. I don't know businesses. I don't understand startups. I don't understand all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I understand you, and you as a person I know you're not going to be losing your money like crazy. So whatever you're doing it, do it. Share it with me. I just want to talk to them to learn about it.
Yeah.
Or just let's do a call a month.
Yeah.
So that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you source great opportunities? And that person becomes your source in one way or the other.
Yeah.
The other way can be joining these syndicates. Usually that information can be too overwhelming for you to process. Like, you're just reading a deck.
It will be. Like, I'll tell you like my foray into it and why I'm looking to get better. So when I made the investment into the studio, it was an angel check.
Yeah.
I have no way of telling if this is going to work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I am putting money on the founder.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with him. I know him. I trust him. I know he's been doing business.
I call that belief capital.
Yeah. So it's a lot of belief capital.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm a user.
Yeah.
Plus, I understand the economics like a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't understand like in 5 years will I get 5x?
Yeah, I got you.
That I don't know. I don't know how to like discern and maybe you'll never know that. But I did this, and the same reason I'll tie this in with another thing. So when I started this podcast, the first 2 episodes that I did was blindly, like, I've been thinking about doing it for 2 years. As with investments, I'm tying it with investments. I'll be thinking, making plans, writing in my journal. I'll be doing this someday.
Yeah.
The only thing that got me to start this podcast was paying a studio. So I've paid Rove hotels have a studio too.
Nice.
I just went and made the booking and I paid.
Nice.
I didn't have a guest.
Beautiful.
And I made 2 bookings on the same day. I'm like, I need to find 2 people.
Amazing.
And then I work backwards from that.
That's it. I love that.
3 weeks later, there's a booking. It's non-refundable. I've lost my money already. It's these time and that time now trying to hustle people to find who's going to be my first guest, who's going to be my second guest. And I found someone and I did it just to get to do it. So with angel investing, I did the same thing with the studios. Like, I know for the last 2-3 years, I've had excess cash that I wanted to deploy. And I said, like, you know what? The moment he called, he's like, hey, I'm raising around. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about it. I just want to do it so that I can learn it.
Yeah.
So the next time when I join a syndicate, at least I can be like, hi, Ikia, I did one. So like, I'm kind of learning the ropes. What's a MOA? I don't know. A shareholder agreement. DED, Dubai Economic Development. Okay,
Wow.
this is a document.
Yeah.
But yeah, just maybe like, I don't know. I have privilege to be able to like mess around and like
100%.
try,
I think
but-
startup investing is very risky.
Yeah.
Like, you see these exponential growth stories for funds and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask me, I think it's a very high risk asset class. They come with a lot of risk. So only if you have that capacity
Yeah.
to write something off like that, try and do it. Otherwise, I mean, I would generally, like a lot of people who I know come to me and say, oh, wherever you're investing, but you need to understand I'm managing money. I have a diversified pool of investments.
Yeah.
We, as a VC, you know how to create a mechanism where you're hedging
Yeah.
your investments a little bit. It's a lot
Your
more.
whole portfolio as a whole.
It's the same thing as a
Yeah.
as a startup like an angel investor and the VC. The difference is again the same thing, like as you had with the founder versus a VC. These guys have a pool of capital which is quite a lot than you putting in your hard-earned sweat money.
Yeah.
For you, only these limited number of opportunities are something which you're hoping for them to grow into. So
Yeah.
they're quite different in that way. So
Same yet different.
yeah, same, yet different, like a lot of things. So I would suggest, again, finding that network, find the right people who you trust, who are making these investments, trying to understand what they've done, try and maybe do some along with them, joining a syndicate to get information or deal flow.
Yeah.
Maybe you use that and leverage it and share it with that friend of yours and say like, hey, I just looked at this. What do you think about it? Is it worth it? I think it's interesting. Try and inform that.
Yeah.
Then the last part of belief capital, which you do, I also do it. I believe in a lot of people, which would be always about belief. And they are with the thought process and thinking that, you know what, if Malik tomorrow goes out and does something and I give him money to do it, I know the person in my heart, he's not probably, even if he thinks with it, I'll go back to my regret question. Did I regret giving Malik money or not?
Mm-hmm.
And if Malik lost my $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I didn't invest and Malik built out a huge company? Would I regret it? Yes.
Yes.
Malik was my friend. Did I believe in giving my friend that support? Would I'm going to regret it? And even if Malik failed, am I going to feel happy about it? No. So
Yeah.
like just do basic stuff. Like you just ask yourself these questions. And I know these are tough and they might make you make stupid investments at times. It's also possible. But that time you don't think about business models. That time you're not being a VC. That time you're being a friend who's wanting to invest in another friend.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to be around smart friends. So you need to find people who are very smart.
you need to be very careful and intentional about your network and who you're hanging out with, right?
Obviously.
And this is where like the whole chat we had about serial entrepreneur comes in too. Like if you have those people in your network,
invest in them.
Yeah, they have like a track record or a history of something that you can like look back on, and they're not always going to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Not always, and you need to like have that with you. Like most people that I know that come from the corporate background don't end up investing because they don't understand or they're not fully okay with the fact that they will lose money.
Yeah.
Like the starting point, again, when I told you the starting point of a business and the starting point of an investor is to know that this is a game of survival more than a game of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're around long enough, you will make money, but you have to be around. As a foreign exchange trader, this is a rule of thumb that we had, right? Like your job is not to blow up.
Yeah.
You need to come back to the trading floor tomorrow.
Exactly.
Every day you come back to the trading floor. The moment you place a bet that's too large or unhedged, too much leverage or anything like that, you've made a big error in judgment.
Yeah.
And if you're not here tomorrow, better for the rest of us.
Yeah.
But your job is just to survive.
Exactly.
Growth will come at some other point.
So, you know, that's an interesting one. I read about one of the fastest skiers in the world. When this kid who was skiing when he was 14 was not the fastest, not even like the 10th fastest. 16 still not the fastest. 21 still not the fastest. 25 fastest. And why? Because stayed consistent, kept doing what he's doing. The rest of them got injured and went out. So you did survive. A lot has to do with survival. A lot has to do with consistency. And A lot has to do with you doing repeatably the same things again and again and again, because these are proven things. These are not stuff that I'm making up. People have done them.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, one of the ways is startup investing. The other one is obviously day-to-day trading. You can go back to trading. You can look at companies publicly listed, try and put in some money.
I don't have the stomach for that.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm just saying, I'm giving you alternative investment places for you to make money on high risk.
Yeah.
I think trading is high risk if you don't have enough knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it full time, but if you don't have enough knowledge, then you gotta.
Then you're gambling.
Then this is a discussion for another day, but
that's a whole 2-hour discussion.
Well, but that's like someone saying with VC money you're gambling.
Yeah.
But you build, you think, you try. It's like we can have an argument on it one day.
Yeah,
you want to arm wrestle for that.
There's no such thing as a risk-free investment.
Yeah. Right? All of them come with it.
I kept saying this throughout the conversation too. For me, life is survival. Yes, the other is risk reduction.
Yeah.
In every sort of
I
way.
agree.
If you can't do risk reduction, then don't do it.
Yeah. And then make some positive investments. Make investments from the remaining 90% of your capital, which you have, into spaces which can give you compounding interest, and do the math again. And think about, if you invest into, say, mutual funds, or if you're investing, say, into public markets, if you're investing into S&P, whatever you're doing, whichever product you think makes sense, try and understand the risk. Try and calculate with that much investment amount, if you start doubling down on seeing some stuff in X amount of time, how fast you can reach your financial freedom. To me, financial freedom, honestly, is the removal of thought of worrying about money. But to be honest, you can always worry about money, no matter what you do, no matter how rich you are.
It's like a moving goalpost.
Yeah. Do you think Bezos feels happy when he loses like billions of dollars on a stock market change? No, of course not. He worries about it, dude. Like, come on. So you always be kind of worried. But yeah, leaving your day to day out is the general base financial freedom that you can probably get.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're gonna start wrapping up, but I think that was a good place. We've been talking for a couple of hours.
Yeah, long, dude. I've got to play football with you after this.
If you want to have sushi after this, we can do that too. I'm hungry. But man, we covered a lot, and there's still a lot that we haven't covered. I still wanted to talk to you about your decision-making frameworks. I wanted to talk about the funnel of your VC model too. But I'm hoping there will be another time.
There's always another time. We're doing more. We should do something fun out of it. Like I really enjoyed this. This was a great conversation. I think I spent a lot of time talking about my journey to getting to where I am. I want to do one where we understand from you on why you're doing what you're doing.
I'm not that interesting.
Well, everyone's interesting.
That's why I'm the host, not the guest.
but we'll find ways to it. And I think what's super interesting about, I know this is my first business, but like I did talk about my first business and how it shut down and how we felt about it. But I think just to anybody who's possibly, kind of listening in, I think just the first thing about doing your first business is doing your first business. And if you don't do it, you'll probably go back to the regret board. And I give kudos to I think regret test, 100%. And I think it's commendable and very courageous for people to do it. It is not easy. And the most important thing, I think, if you're doing your own business, is have empathy. Because if you don't have that, you're going to struggle building a great team. You're going to have a struggle getting the next customer, or just have empathy. I think that's the only thing which can drive and take you really far.
I love it.
Yeah, 100%. And have cash, and have positive cash flows.
And have infinite cash flows.
Infinite cash flows. Yeah, we don't money on the wall.
I know. No, and I'll add to that and close off is that there is no right age to start your first business. I know people, yes, we all know those stories about the 20-year-olds that are getting rich now with business. I started mid-30s. I know people that started mid-40s and they're happy. I know people that started past 50.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. You're not too old. You're never too young. You're those four things that Maanav talked about: the expertise and interests, the regret test. What are you missing from the ecosystem? You just have to do those exercises for yourself at some point in life and see if you want to get into it. But And not to knock on people that have jobs too, because I think that is a very important way to live life too.
It is.
Some people add a lot more value in their corporate jobs than I do in my
100%.
business. So everyone has their own thing. So I want to fight the hustle porn and say it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people should do it, but at some point in your life, try it out.
Yeah, just try it out. Like one day, just be like, yeah, you know what?
And if you want to don't do it yourself, as Maanav said, like look for opportunities to help others that are doing it, and vicariously you can like live through their experiences too. So, +1 for business in my first business.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you, Maanav.
Sick,
Thank you for coming so much.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Very nice.
Let's do this again.
For sure.
Cheers.